inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love that.
How is everybody doing? Welcome to RossonARI TV. Hopefully everybody's having a great weekend, wherever you are. It's morning, it's afternoon, it's night. Doesn't matter. I hope you're having a great time. Today's live is going to be a short live, guys, by the way. It's just going to be talking about what happened this week, just a recollection of all the events of the week. We're going to be discussing the players that were linked to us this week. Of course, another free agent that has just passed through our fingers. And of course, selling what we thought was going to be one of those players that was going to stay with us forever, Mr. Sandro Tonali. So it's going to be a fairly short live. Nothing too crazy. Also because today, if anybody has been following, Moncada, Fulani, and Jerry were at the beach. They were at the beach today, and they completely forgot that they have a club to run. Today, absolutely nothing new came out. Either the journalists were having a siesta, or it was Jerry having a siesta today. I'm more inclined to think that it was our own management, that they are in shambles right now. They do not know what to do. They do not know how to do. They thought this was going to ease. They thought this was going to be a piece of cake. They thought it was going to be really easy, but reality is starting to hit them straight on the nose. It's like a Mike Tyson punch straight on the nose. So anyway, let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about the players that we are linked to currently. So of course, right now, the biggest issue that Milan has in rebuilding the team, because this is what it is. This is a rebuild. We have to rebuild the team. It is the usual midfielders that have been linked to us today. Reindeers, interesting player. Then, of course, we have Loftus-Cheek back in fashion. I guess Maldini and Jerry aren't too different after all. It looks like we're back in for good old Loftus-Cheek. Then who else do we have? We have We have Holmond, another interesting player that we could be looking at, and of course Frattesi. So the only thing I want to talk about as far as the midfielders go is Frattesi. That's the only subject that I want to talk about, Frattesi. Now, Frattesi, right now, first of all, they're saying that Frattesi is 40 million, etc., etc. So Pellegatti today put up a video, and Pellegatti is someone that has got 100,000 plus subscribers, so he's got a big voice in the Milan universe. And he's saying that we should not be looking at Frattesi because Frattesi costs too much. Let's go in for Milinkovic, Savic, and Loftus-Cheek, altogether 55 million. And that's how we can spend the Tonali money, which is not a bad idea, really. I mean, if you can get Loftus-Cheek and Savic, and then use the rest to pay Arda Guler, that's really not that bad of an operation. Let's be honest. But the issue that I have with this whole thing here is we are pushing this idea that players cost too much. This idea that players cost too much needs to die the same way AC Milan died the day that Jerry decided to fire Maldini. Frattesi does not cost too much. 40 million for Frattesi is not too much. This club has the money to pay for a good midfielder. If you want good players, you have to pay them. Because I'm going to repeat this all freaking summer. To all the people and to the Pellegattis and to the Roccos and all these. Where is Rocco, by the way? Where the hell is Rocco? We need to get Rocco on RossonARI TV. Inter is leading the race to get Frattesi, and that's how much they're going to pay for him. They're going to pay for him 40 million. And they're, and Frattesi has promised himself to Inter unless we come in and hijack that operation. And that's essentially what's happening there. But what I don't want to see is Pellegatti cry like a little baby and Rocco cry like a little baby because Inter kicked our ass in the derbies. Wah, wah, my pussy hurts. Inter kicked our ass in the derby. My pussy hurts. Well, you know why they're going to kick our ass in the derby is because they spent money and got a really good midfielder and they built a really good midfield. Okay, so this narrative that Frattesi costs too much is asinine. It's bullshit. It needs to die. It just needs to die. Frattesi does not cost too much. You want quality midfielder right now, 23-year-old. How much do you think you're going to spend for a 23-year-old quality midfielder ready to make the jump to a big team? 40 million is probably the cheapest you can find one. Loftus-Cheek is not 23. Loftus-Cheek is going to 28 and with only 10 appearances in the national team. Savic, okay, 35. Savic, you can spend 35 on Savic. I'm all for the Savic operation. All for it, 100%. But let's see if that happens. Let's see if that fits the mold of Redbird. In theory, it doesn't because Savic, there's no capital gain in the Savic operation. But with Frattesi, there is capital gain with the situation, even if it's 40 million. So all I am asking is this. To everybody that thinks that Frattesi costs too much, just don't complain when we play against Inter next season and Inter will completely outplay us in the midfield. Because we will go in freaking Luxembourg and get a midfielder that nobody ever knew existed, a midfielder whose letters in his name don't even exist in the alphabet, a midfielder that comes from a mid-table team from the Faroe Islands. No disrespect to the Faroe Islands. And Moneyball this, Moneyball that. Just do not complain if Inter kicks our ass next year. Do not complain if Inter kicks our ass next year. That's all I'm saying. This narrative that players cost too much, it depends on the player, needs to go, needs to get out of the window. Right now, Frattesi does not cost too much. Frattesi costs 40 million because that's what he's worth. 40 million. A really good midfielder that is going to elevate the technical level of your team. And he's basically right now one of the best three Italian midfielders in Italy. Tonali, Frattesi, Barella, those are the three best midfielders. Yeah, Tonali cost 80 million. Frattesi cost 40 million. Barella cost 100 million. Okay, they cost too much. Oh, fine. Let's get rid of all three of them and let's put three unknown players in that Italian midfield. Let's see if there's a difference or not. So now that's my Frattesi rant. So regarding if we're going to get Frattesi, I have two theories. Either we're waiting for the beginning of the market to actually officialize the Tonali deal in order to relate the books to next year as far as financial fair play and all of that stuff, which gives us more leeway in the market. Or just like we did with Thuram, just like we did with almost everybody, we're fucking playing with our thumbs, Tweedledum with our thumbs, and we're missing out on the Frattesi operation, and it's done. It's over. Now, Brozovic seems like he's going to be sold, so Inter is probably going to hijack this Frattesi operation before we do. Whatever. So what? Anyway, I'm not saying Frattesi is the be-all and end-all. Frattesi is a really good midfielder that is ready to make the big jump. I was looking at what Inter paid for Barella, essentially. When Inter got Barella, that whole operation altogether with the add-ons and the whole operation came to 50 million. So Inter, 4 years ago, they committed 50 million euros to buy Barella, some unknown guy from fucking Cagliari that nobody knew, knew he existed. Everybody would have said, well, 50 million. Pellegatti would have put a video. Said 50 million for Barella? Oh no, come on, that's too much. Oh my God, I'm so cool, I'm so good, I'm so smart, I'm so intelligent. Yeah, Barella cost Inter 50 million in the end. That's how much they fucking paid for him. Because good players cost money. That's the way this shit works. Newcastle wanted a good midfielder. They put out 80 million. Now, sure, let's go get these under 21s from Holland and these under 19s from this and there and that and whatnot. But the midfield is the engine of the fucking team. If you don't have a solid midfield ready to kick ass right away, I don't want to hear anybody complain about Inter kicking our ass next year. Rocco. Where the fuck is Rocco? I don't want to hear Rocco cry like a little baby. Oh, my pussy hurts. Inter beat us 4 times. Fire Maldini. Moncada will save us. I don't want to hear any of that shit. I do not want to hear any of that shit. Anyway, that's my rant on Frattesi. We can end it there. As far as the other midfielders, there's really nothing to say so far. It's just rumors. It's just players being linked left and right. The only trail that has any, let's say, light, any validity so far was the Frattesi trail. Let's see what happens with Frattesi. If we get him or don't get him, at the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't care. But I just don't buy this thing that 40 million is too much for Frattesi. That's all I'm saying. Arda Guler, things are looking good on the Arda Guler front. I 100% see Arda Guler choosing Milan because Milan is a great destination for this player for a variety of reasons. One, the pressure on Milan is not crazy because Milan will not be obligated to win Scudettis. Forget about the Champions League. Milan will not be even in the race to be a contender for the Champions League. So for Guler, this is a very good team for himself to develop and for himself to get that experience and to start to understand what it's like to play in these big teams. And eventually he can use AC Milan as a stepping stone. Another thing that really goes on Guler's favor is that pretty much hit that spot on the team sheet is open. So he would be getting playing time. A report did come out today saying that AC Milan has agreed to pay the clause, and that things are getting much closer with Guler, seeing that he will be getting guaranteed playing time. And he will be getting guaranteed playing time because there's nobody else there. We don't have anybody there. AC Milan right now is in shambles. That team is depleted, so we need to put players in. So Guler would be an excellent addition to this team. Why? Because Guler is a phenomenal footballer. He's 18, already producing football at super high levels. His feet have been touched by God himself. And players like this adapt fast. Now, not to be mistaken, guys, I'll have to clip this video because I know people are going to come back at me and they're going to bust my balls in the future if Guler does come. So we'll have to fucking take what I'm about to say here. I'm going to have to clip it and make sure to carry this clip wherever I go. Guler is only 18. Being 18 in the Serie A is not easy. So I'm not expecting Guler to come in Italy and do the same Vice Verasquilla did at 21. Vice Verasquilla at 18 probably would have not been able to do what he did at 21 in the Serie A. So I'm not expecting him to do what Vice Verasquilla did, but I am expecting him to raise the technical bar quite a lot. Quite a lot. I am expecting that because he is incredibly technical, incredibly intelligent, and he is just one of those footballers that appear once in a lifetime. But he is 18. So clip this. Don't bust my balls if we get Guler next year, and then Guler has periods where maybe he doesn't have great games. We lose. Everybody points the finger at him. Clip this because it's part of a disclaimer. If Guler was 21, I would be 100% sure that he'd come to Serie A, and not only he would have a great season, but he would teach fucking players in the Serie A how to play football. But at 18, not so much. At 18, you have to give him space to grow. You have to give him the space to grow. But Guler is a phenomenal player, guys, for his age. And just looking at him, the way how composed he is on the ball, his decision making, his dribbling, his shooting, his passing, everything about this player screams genius. So Guler is one of those players that if this was Berlusconi's Milan, we would get right now and we'd keep him forever, and he'd win 5 Ballon d'Ors with us and he'd become a club legend. But under Jerry, Guler is a perfect player because he's a player that he can come to Milan. He can use Milan more than he can use Dortmund, more than he can use Leipzig. The only other 2 teams that are guaranteeing him playing time, because no other team in Europe can guarantee him play time. Real Madrid cannot guarantee him play time. No other, Barcelona can't guarantee. No other team in Europe can guarantee him playing. There are only 3 teams that can guarantee him playing time. Dortmund, Leipzig, Milan. Out of these 3, 100% Milan is the best one. 100% Milan is the best one to then eventually make the jump. Now, Guler can use Milan to develop further. If I am Guler's father and I see Milan is coming at me and they want me at all cost, I'm saying yes. I am saying yes. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. I am saying yes. So today the Glory operation looks good. There's positivity towards that. I hope we do get it across the line. I really do, because it'd be nice to see Milan with one of these world beaters, since I mean, that type of world beater, of these technical world beaters. We haven't seen one of those in a while since Ibrahimovic. Well, Ibrahimovic was the last one, so it'd be nice to get another one of these technical world beaters on the pitch. So as far as the Guler front, things today are positive, but that doesn't mean anything. We will see how that ends. Probably in the upcoming weeks, we'll have more information. We'll see where he ends. But again, if I am Guler, I choose Milan. If I'm Milan, with this Moneyball scheme, especially, I go for Guler. I don't think about it twice. This is what I call a marriage made in heaven. AC Milan, Arda Guler. Okay, other players that we're linked to, of course, let's talk about Thuram and that whole fiasco. Another derby lost against Inter. We just got outplayed, outsmarted, outbidded, out everything by Inter once again. On one hand, it's almost a blessing in disguise because 6 million wages for Thuram, I thought, is a little bit exaggerated since this player hasn't achieved anything to merit more than what Leao makes, what Giroud makes, what Benacer makes, Theo Hernandez and Magnan, etc., etc. So there's two faces to this story. One face is, we might have dodged a bullet here because we're going to overpay the wages for a player that does not deserve those kind of wages. And this is not similar to the Frattesi thing, because one can argue, well, you just said, who cares how much you pay for a Frattesi? No, we're talking about wages, and we're talking about hierarchy, locker room hierarchy, which is something real. These are real things. The Roccos of the world will tell you that no, the only thing that matters is Moncada and Furlani. But the truth is that football players are actually human beings, and there's a lot of politics in locker rooms because they're human beings. Human nature cannot be avoided. The same way there's locker room BS in an amateur team, you have locker BS politics in professional teams, even more so in professional teams where there's so much money circulating. So yeah, at the end of the day, the Thuram operation is just a defeat. We just got outbidded. We just lost another derby. But at the end of the day, I do think we kind of dodged the bullet. But once again, guys, I'm going to say this. So a disclaimer, clip this. I'm going to have to clip this, and I'm going to have to take this wherever I go because I know people are going to come at me. You said this, you said that. I know that Thuram is going to score goals for Inter, and Inter's going to win games, and Thuram will score 2 goals, or maybe he's going to score 1 goal, or maybe he's going to get an assist, and people are going to say, oh, man, we should have gotten Thuram, blah, 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 this and that and the other. I know that. You think I don't know this stuff? Guys, you think I don't look at the future? I am calculating the future before anybody even thinks about the past. I'm already calculating. I already know that what people will be saying. Oh, man, how did we miss out on Thuram? Look at Inter. They just beat Fiorentina 2-0, and Thuram had a good game. How the fuck did we not get Thuram? And look at Frattesi, blah, blah. I know this, okay? It still comes down to principle. If I'm paying a player 6 million, more than Theo, more than Magnan, this player has to be some guy that is going to score more than 20 goals a season. It has to be a guarantee. I'm not going to go gamble for a dude that costs 6 million a season for 10, 12, 13 goals. The reason why is because we can do much better. We can find strikers right now that get much less wages that will do the exact, if not even better numbers than Thuram. So let's not get this twisted. The only way for us to regret the Thuram operation is if Thuram, by the end of the season, finishes with 25 goals plus, Jake Thompson celebrating like he won the World Cup, And that's when we can say, fuck, we should have given him the 6 million. But even if Inter wins the Scudetto and we're celebrating, even if Inter wins the Scudetto, wins the Champions League, wins the World Cup, wins the Olympics, they become the fucking president of America, and Thuram only scores 13 goals or 15 goals in all competitions, it's not worth the money. 6 million is not worth the money. Okay. And that's most likely what's going to happen. If Thuram has a good season, if he has a good season, he's probably going to score somewhere around 13, 12, 14, maximum 15 goals. Maximum 15 goals. If he scores more than that, then maybe we should have done a little bit better our homework. Then, and if he scores more than 20, then we should have said, okay, yeah, that was good. We should have gotten him. We should have gotten him. And if he scores more than 25, we should be fucking punching Jerry in the face and ourselves in the face and me for having such a bad analysis on him. Okay, so that's the Thuram situation. Let's move on from Thuram. So the next guy in line is Scamacca. Scamacca now, he promised himself to Roma. Someone on the internet put up a video shortly saying that Scamacca makes close to what Thuram is making, so it's going to be impossible. That is incorrect. Scamacca makes somewhere around 2.8 to between 2.5 and 2.9 million a season net. So if he comes on loan, that's how much he would be making. He would be making more. So he'd be making. So basically, that's very good for us. It fits our mold perfectly. Other thing about Scamacca is very good. He's a kind of player that is much more suited for low blocks. So a Scamacca would be excellent for our offensive department. I would like to see Scamacca come to Milan. But very difficult operation because essentially there is an obligation to buy at the end of this loan. It could be pretty expensive. But if he is a player that ends up scoring a lot of goals for you, spending what are you going to spend? 40 million for him? If he comes to Milan and he scores 15, 14 goals and you keep his wages down to 3 million and you have to spend 40 million for him, then so be it. Then so be it. So it really depends if he comes to Milan and what kind of seasons he would have. Other players, other strikers linked to us, Morata, that one there is just asinine. If we get Morata, this club is just disgusting. If we get Lukaku, this club is just disgusting. But the truth is that all of these players are actually pretty experienced players in that they would actually bring, a certain level of leadership and experience in the locker room. Morata and Lukaku being players with a lot of experience in international football, European football. They've been in finals, they've won trophies. So these are players that do command respect in the locker room. Now we can say we don't like him. They're not appealing to me. None of these players are appealing. Nor Morata nor Lukaku are appealing to me. But let's look at the flip side. Morata does bring technical value to the team. He's not a prolific striker, so you can't expect more than 12, 13, 14. More, he's pretty much does the same numbers as Giroud does. But on the flip side, he does bring leadership. He does bring experience. He does bring that element to the team, which is very much needed in a young team like AC Milan. So that's one of the good things about Morata. Same thing goes for Lukaku, since we're being linked to him. Both of these players, by the way, have very high wages. I'm not sure how Milan would deal with that situation. So on the flip side, the only positive thing about these players is that element right there. And of course, they would help the team produce. But I think us AC Milan fans, we would be excited to see a little bit more. Now, in my opinion, this is just simply my opinion. This is just my opinion. Out of all the players that we have been linked to so far, Taremi to me seems the most appealing because he, like Morata and like Lukaku, he is of an age where he can combine physicality and experience together. He has international experience, European experience. He's won trophies, played big games in Europe. and also internationally. But also, this one is a prolific striker, and he's also a prolific assist man. So it's basically killing one bird with two. No, killing killing two birds with one stone. So you'd be getting a prolific assist man and a prolific striker. Now, I would go for him. I would go for him. I wouldn't even think about it twice. Shit. If I had any say in this club, Taremi would already be an AC Milan player. Like, he would already be an AC Milan player. Taremi is in his last year of his contract, so there's definitely space to negotiate. He is 30. His wages are not crazy like Thuram was asking. The only problem is that Moneyball issue. He becomes unflippable. Taremi becomes unflippable due to his age. And that is something that we have to contend with when it comes to this club. Are you going to be flippable, unflippable? We shall find out. So, other players that were linked to us in this past week, Chukwueze, interesting player, right wing. I would go with Guler instead of Chukwueze because Guler has a potential of being a Ballon d'Or winner, while at Chukwueze at this point, 24, what we've already seen from him and what I've looked at, and based on my research and based on my opinions, Chukwueze is a player that can become very good for the Serie A, can be good, but he does not have that Ballon d'Or vibe. He does not have that Ballon d'Or ceiling, while Arda Guler potentially does. That's a big difference. Potentially Arda Guler does. Potentially, disclaimer, potentially. Chukwueze would definitely be an improvement to what we already have. He would definitely bring more flair. He is pretty wasteful as for the statistics, but he also does produce assists and goals. So Chukwueze is not too bad of a link. It's not too bad of a link. Another player that we were linked that is coming back up that we're talking about is Berardi. I don't know. It looked like Maldini had an intention to Italianize the team a little bit more. He wanted to bring in Baldanzi and Berardi, if these reports are true, not just rumors. I would have liked that a lot because I do think that Milan is an Italian club, and whatever country a club is from, they need to have a domestic core. They need to have a domestic core, and that domestic core is usually an important group that drives the energy of that team. So we do have a French core. That French core seems to be very united, and it's good. I think if we add an Italian core and a French core together, I think we would have two very strong cores, kind of like we did under Ancelotti. We had a Brazilian core and we had an Italian core. It was perfect. So it looked like Maldini wanted to do that if those reports are true, but under this management, I think they're going to avoid Italians like all of us try to avoid the plague every single day. So if you have an Italian name, you are already crossed, X'd out. You're not welcome in the red and black colors of AC Milan, unless your name is Frattesi, because Frattesi right now is a midfielder that needs to move, and right now Milan is trying to get Frattesi. But Baldanzi and Berardi would have been very nice, actually. Berardi, of course, not a Ballon d'Or player like people say. I never said that he's a Ballon d'Or player. That was all bullshit. But Berardi is a serial offensive outputter, serial assists and serial goals from the wing. Not from the center, but from the wing. A guy that in the past years, every year gets double digits. That would have been nice. But anyway, that is just an afterthought. No point in talking about him. Other player that we were linked to was Romero, the Argentinian Romero. They were saying that it was imminent, that it was a done deal, but then nothing came out of it, and now Inter is supposed to hijack him. Romero is a whatever kind of player. You don't know if this guy's going to do good, do well. I don't have much to say about Romero. The little I've seen of him uh, doesn't suggest to me like he is anywhere close to being ready to play in a big team like AC Milan. More so, he looks like a player that you get to send on loan and then eventually put him on the squad. That's my initial opinion on Romero, but I will not say anything other than that. As far as defenders, we have been linked to some defenders, not many. I think we were. I want to say, I think in the beginning, the sale that they wanted to do was possibly bringing in Dika because we're trying to get in Dika, and they failed miserably at that. And then maybe sell one of our defenders. I remember there was word that PSG was looking for Kalulu. Tomori, I'm sure there's English teams calling about Tomori for sure. For sure. Or Theo Hernandez. Maybe Theo Hernandez is a player that is very easy to sell, very appealing to the market. So maybe they wanted to sell Theo Hernandez, but since the Indica operation failed miserably, because Rocco told us that Moncada and Frulani are the two greatest geniuses of all time in football. And whenever Moncada and Frulani call you, you can be Maradona, and Maradona will bow down on his knees, and will not even look at Moncada and Frulani in the eyes because Maradona is not worthy. This is what Rocco told us. Rocco told us that, you know, Frulani and Moncada are literally demigods. They're demigods of football, but apparently their demigodness did not work in order to get Indica. Indica probably decided to go to Roma, more appealing for him. Anyway, not much in the defensive department this week. Nothing really there. So we have a midfield to rebuild and an offensive line to rebuild. Something else that came out, which was very interesting, was that Fenerbahce is interested in Origi and Rebic. So there is a possibility that Milan and Fenerbahce will be doing business together, which always ties back to Guler, which is something that makes me personally very happy. I would really like to see Guler in AC Milan. And I'm going to finish with this. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I'm not going to wave the white flag. I think that as of now, today, there's a lot of room and space to build a very good roster for Pioli next year. You can give Pioli a very good roster next year. And if you give Pioli a really good roster, I don't think we will ever forgive Cardinale for what he did to Maldini and Tonali, but at least on the sporting aspect, we can enjoy the football. One thing I disagree entirely with a lot of my friends, actually, and a lot of people that have come on this channel, and a lot of people around the internet, is that they want to see Milan fail. They want to see Milan crumble. Guys, maybe because I worked in football, and maybe because when you work in football, you live football, and you are there the day-to-day hours on the football pitch, and you're coaching games, and you live every single moment of those games. I do not want to go through year 23, 24, watching Milan lose and watch Milan getting destroyed, because that shit is awful. I do not wish that upon any of my worst enemies, and I don't wish that upon myself either. I'm barely dealing with the bullshit that we had to deal with right now in the beginning of the Mercato. I cannot deal with a fucking full year of AC Milan getting its ass kicked by everybody. So I am begging the universe or whoever or whatever. I'm begging Jerry and, Sir Moncada and Sir Furliani, Rocco's demigods, to put together, and Pioli, a good team so we can enjoy the football next year, and we can watch a team At least, if not win a Scudetto, at least stay in that top four, win big games, and then give us hope that the project is still going in the right direction from a sporting aspect. Because, guys, today you want to see this team fail, but then when it actually starts failing, it's going to hit you like a brick on the face. And that feeling is not pleasant. I've seen people go crazy just because we tie a match. I've literally seen people that I've met here while doing YouTube go absolutely insane, completely just mutate into some kind of monster just because we tied a match. So don't wish for the worst of Milan. Don't wish for that because you're going to regret that. And I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I want to see Milan compete. I want to see Milan kick ass. I want to see Milan win games because at the end of the day, when that whistle is blown, nobody's thinking about Maldini. Nobody's thinking about Tonali. For those 90 minutes, the adrenaline is pumping, and all we're thinking about is that ball going to go in the net, or yes or no, and are we going to avoid getting the ball in our own net? That's all we think about. And then as soon as that whistle is blown, we're not thinking, then if we win, we're happy. And we're not thinking about Maldini. We're not thinking about Tonali, but we're happy. We're talking, oh, that guy played really well. Oh my God, that guy, he played those great games. We can still say fuck Jerry and fuck this guy. In fact, fuck that guy. I want to say that forever. Fuck Jerry and fuck Skynet and fuck Redbird because of how they did my boy Maldini, but I still want to win games. Okay, I want to live in both worlds, in a world where I can still say fuck Skynet, but also Forza Milan. Okay, so in my opinion, there is room to build a really good roster for next season. We can build a really kick-ass roster that can do wonders because with a little bit of intelligence and with a little bit of courage, like fucking Maldini said, make the right investments, get the right players, give Pioli a competitive team with depth, and just tell him finish top four. That's all you got to do, and maybe we will overachieve. So I'm going to keep the doors. I'm going to still hope for that. I'm still going to hope for that simply because I know that the opposite is going to make things even worse. I do not want to be fucking miserable next year, just in spite of Jerry. I don't give a shit about Jerry. I don't give a shit about Skynet. I don't give a shit about Redbird. For me, this is the worst ownership that has ever owned Milan. This is the worst. I've never seen anything worse. This is the worst ownership in football, in the history of football. And I mean that. I'm not even joking about that. I fucking mean that. I'm not being biased. I'm not saying that through the lenses of a AC Milan fan. According to what I've seen in my life so far, and judging every football ownership that I've come across, this one is the worst. But that does not mean that I want to see Milan fail, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be miserable next year, guys. I want to see Milan win. I want to see Milan play well. So, what would I do to get Milan to play well? I would like to see Frattesi in the midfield, Hoylman, and Savic. I think those three players would be very good. For the midfield, Taremi up top, Guler on the right. Shit, I'd get Guler and Chukwueze if we can. And what else? Who else? And I don't know who else in the midfield. I don't know. Someone else in defense. All right. Anyway, let's see what this week brings. Let's see what this next week brings. So, last 15 minutes, we're going to go to chat. And that's it. And that's it for today. Preach, what's up? For For anyone who's interested in result of Moneyball, there's an interesting video by Baseball is Not Dead on YouTube. It explains how the Oakland A's are on the verge of bankruptcy. Yeah, the Oakland A's are definitely not doing anything extraordinary as far as sporting results. So I don't, this Moneyball thing has been completely propagandized. What's up, Antonio? How you doing? Roy, agree 100% with your point that we should be expecting more spending from the ownership and should be able to pay 40 million. My concerns are that we will barely spend anything. And if we don't spend anything, then we will talk about it for sure. It'll be if we don't invest this money, then guys, I mean, what to say? We have to buy almost our entire team with little of no money. Roy, Frattesi is definitely worth 40 million. No question. Point is, why let Tonali go just 30 million more when would have gotten those figures from CDK, Alexis, Tomori? Well, I think Mr. Chunk, Tomori, yes, but CDK and Alexis, you need buyers. So, who's buying? That's the thing. It's not so simple. It's not like, hey guys, I'm selling CDK. Who's going to come and buy it? And CDK has to have a good season for him to be appealing. Teams that would buy CDK are teams that either don't have much money or are teams that need to spend their money wisely, right? Like the lower teams of the Premier League, they do have money, but they have to spend it wisely. CDK did not show anything. See, the year prior to that, CDK had 14 goals and 9 assists. So there was appeal to CDK. This year, Tata Rusano had the same offensive output as CDK. So selling CDK is not easy. Alexis is also a player that is not easy to sell. While Tomori, on the other hand, I think is a player that is easy to sell. And maybe the whole Indica operation was why we decided not to go for Tomori. Maybe, I don't know. Even more importantly, why sell a key player in the first place when we're so financially healthy on the verge of becoming a top team? Yeah, because these guys are complete assholes. That's why. They sold Tonali because these guys are clueless about football and they're complete assholes. But now that you sold them, fucking use the money properly. Therefore, whether we like it or not, 40 million is too much for us, thanks to Jerry. Well, the thing, Antonio, is that you have already decided what's going to happen in the future. You might be right, but maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're wrong. I'm hoping. I'm being like Obama. Hope right now. Hey, what's up, Roy? You can't say Guler is coming with no pressure. Look at what San Siro did to Milan, Atmosphere did to CDK, but CDK does not have the feet of Guler. CDK does not have the feet, does not have the footballing skills of Guler. I mean, look at Pato, right? Aside the fact that Pato was surrounded by great players, but Pato had incredible feet, and he was 17 when he played at San Siro. When you have those feet, the feet do the talking. CDK doesn't have those feet, and to top it all off, he doesn't even have too much of a strong personality. So CDK needs to grow, needs to do a lot of stuff, while Guler already has the feet. So it's going to be easier for Guler to impress. It's going to be easier for Guler to impress. I mean, did you see what he did against Wales? That's a senior national team. That's a game with the senior national team. There's more pressure there, arguably, to play for your country and do things like that for your team than at the San Siro. Maybe some people would disagree with that. Yeah, clip all the disclaimers, guys. Clip all the disclaimers because these things I'm saying are gonna follow me forever. I already know. What's up, Alexander? Sacha Tavolieri say Milan interested in Taremi. Not sure how reliable he is, but some good news at least. Oh, that's perfect, guys. This is great. Jerry. Listen, Jerry. I freaking played a Redbird Capital video simply because. So your YouTube team that you hide in the basement of whatever building you're renting, knows that we exist, and maybe you can get our attention and you can listen to us. Because one thing I know for a fact, guys, that all of us right now listening and everybody else that is going to listen, we know about football more than Jerry does. This is a fact. So, Jerry, if you're not going to listen to Paolo Maldini, the greatest legend of football ever, at least listen to us. So Taremi is Iranian, so non-EU. We get him, and Kamada, we can't get Chukwueze. So wait, yeah, that's right. And also Guler is non-EU, I think. We should have bought Berardi 4 years ago. I hope we are wrong about what is going to happen. I still have faith, but we don't know based on what happened with Maldini and Tonali. At the end of the day, we need 3 transfers in the 1st of July. I've been trying to ignore an unintrusive thought lately. What if Rulani, the Elliott man who took control under the guise of being a lifelong Milanista, isn't actually a lifelong Milanista, but in fact a man on a mission to sabotage Jerry's loan? Sure, could say making 80 million in a player sale is actually helping Cardinale, but it won't, because all that money will mostly certainly be reinvested, as we don't have any budget. And it's not like any other CEO could have prevented him from pocketing the club's revenues. Instead, Fulani accepted Cardinale's guidelines, which is to finance the mercato through sales. And out of all the players that could be let go, it just happens to choose Tonali, the worst possible option by far. Don't you think any person in good faith would try everything else before resorting to that? We're talking 1 month after sacking Paolo Maldini. The market hasn't even started, and instead of waiting to try offload Salamaker, CDK, or Tomori, they accept an offer for the most beloved player and one of the next best midfielders in the world. Well, Furlani is an Elliott guy, so it is possible. It is very possible that that is what he's doing. Furlani is an Elliott guy that inserted himself into the operation, as Jerry did say in his. Jerry did actually say in that interview that we saw the other day that Furlani and another guy, I don't know who the other guy is and what his name is, they volunteered to continue to be part of AC Milan. So maybe there is more to it. Maybe there is more to it. Maybe there is more to it. anyway, guys, Milan is a mess. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Before we close, let's just check if there's anything here on Milan Eye. And by the way, tomorrow Lart is doing an open live, so it's going to be open live. Maldini and Branic meet up at the Coldplay concert at the San Siro. New contacts took place between Milan and Chelsea for Loftus-Cheek. Milan ready to pay Arda Guler 17 million release clause. All right, guys, that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to Larry is going to do an open live, so a lot of debates. And then on Wednesday, not on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, we go back to the Milan News regular schedule. All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Alla prossima, arrivederci, and ciao.